Welcome to another stage analysis video. It's Sunday the 2nd of February 2025. Lots to get through on the weekend video as always. Going to start today with a discussion about what's happening with NVDA at the moment as it hits its potential stage 4 breakdown attempt. So in what we call stage 4A, and then getting on to some of the more new features that have been added to the site over the last week. Already highlighted some in the midweek video and various tweets and posts throughout the week, but there's been a lot going on this week, so lots of things starting to get added into the screener and different sections, etc. Plus get onto the more regular content. So getting back to NVDA here. So as I said, moving into what we call stage 4A. So the potential first week as it moves into early stage 4 doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna make a full breakdown. We often get times where we have a single week breakdown into stage 4 and then it recovers back into the range, back into either stage 3 or back into late stage 2 again. You can see it's been in stage 2B for a long time now, which means it's more than 39 weeks or more in stage 2. So it's been in stage 2 since all the way back at this point here, started to make the stage 2 breakout back in early 2023 in the mid part of January there. So 2 years now, for the majority of the time, it's been in stage 2 and just starting to roll over now, moving directly from 2B to 4A. So a lot of people might have a problem with that. They think that the stages have to go in a logical manner. It has to go from stage 2 to stage 3, but that's not necessarily the case. If we go to the trading view chart where I've got the stages background on it, so the members have access to the stage analysis indicator on trading view, so they can use it with their live charts as well as on the website. So we can flick through to trading view here and we can turn on the stage analysis indicator. You can see just making that first attempted break to stage 4 here. So currently we've had a period where it's been going sideways for a good quarter, but above the 10-week moving average the entire time. So it did dip into a brief stage 3 before recovering back into stage 2 again and then rolling back over, and it's now come back under, dropping below its 200-day moving average. So if we go down to a daily chart of this at the moment, you can see we had a dip below the 200-day moving average on Monday there, and then recovered back above, held, and then reversed again on Friday to close back below. So really in the earliest part, so as you can see, just breaking down from this broader range. So it's been a very high range, one of the leading stocks in the market and potentially the most important stock in the market over the course of the last 2-year bull market, basically since the 2023 bull market began with the mega caps. NVIDIA was one of the earliest movers coming out of that in January then. So go back to the weekly chart on this. One thing that I wanted to do on this, you can see actually quickly, see the Mansfield relative strength is breaking down below its zero line here. You can see the SATA score, that's our stage analysis technical attributes, which basically measures characteristics of stage 2. We've got, if it's got 0 characteristics, it has no characteristics of stage 2, and if it's got 10, it has 10. So average stage 2 stock has between 6 and 10 of these characteristics. So you can see at the moment we've dropped off, started to move out of the stage 2 ranges and has dropped off, and we've now currently got 0. And it hasn't had 0 since all the way back in this period over here in 2022, whereas you can see it was for the most part there in stage 4, so the red area on the background of the chart. So one thing I thought would be interesting to do on today's video is to look back at some of NVIDIA's previous stage 4 declines. As I said, single breakdown week doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fall into a huge decline. It can rebound and sometimes recover back into stage 2 again. So there is a really excellent feature on TradingView up here, the replay button. So if you click on this, you get an option down the bottom here of either, there's a little drop down, you can either select the date, you can select a random bar, that one's quite good to do, but if you have select bar on and then you go back to the periods that you want to look at, so if we go all the way back here to this week here where it was just breaking, it broke below the 40-week moving average there during that week. So it takes you across there and gives you a chart, and then if you hold down shift and the right arrow key and press it once, it does it day by day. So you can see it dropped below the 40-week moving average there. So had a brief move into stage 4 and then it recovered, moves into stage 4 again, and then recovered at the end of the week. So you can see during that week at the start of 2022, so in January 2022, it did have 2 days where it would have triggered the 4A before recovering back into stage 3 and then back through there. So we can come through, you see it hit stage 4 again. So now another couple of weeks later in February, about 4 weeks later, it started to move stage 4 again, but again this one fails and it starts to come back up again. So, and again hit stage 4 again, and this one fails, it hits it again, and then it fails once more. So it did have a single week here where it was in stage 4 and then reversed. So I think this is a really good example that the breakdowns and the breakouts don't happen in a linear fashion. They don't necessarily happen like you see from examples in the book. You have one event and then it's in that stage. You can have lots of failed attempts to move up and down, and this is why risk management can be particularly important if you are attempting to trade around the breakout level, as there can often be multiple times, especially with breakdowns. There's often lots of people attempting to buy the dip, especially around the 200-day moving average area. Lots of institutional traders like to buy around that area, but it's when it starts to get dumped around that area that it particularly starts to drop off into stage 4. So you can see at this point, as we said, we had one attempt to stage 4 here, we had another attempt during this week here, and there was 2 during that week, then we had another attempt here. It actually did close in it, but then the week after starts to reverse back above the 200-day moving average and 150 30-week moving average, etc. So back into the stage 3 range once more. So we've already had 3 failed attempts to move down into stage 4, only one of the weeks actually closing on it. So keep going here another couple of weeks, and then finally this time it tries again, and this one is the one that is successful in April. So the rest of the market started to break down around a similar time, and you see this one will actually drop off, and we're now in stage 4 proper. So if we just zoom through this a bit quicker, see it moves back and forth to the 10-week moving average, back into 4 minus here, then starts to recover a bit, going sideways, but we've got more again, making a continuation breakdown lower. So go faster again. Now moving back into potential stage 1 again, it starts to build a sideways range, gets all the way back up towards its 200-day moving average. You can see there we had a failed attempt to move out towards stage 2, and then it drops off again, continues to build a base, it attempts to again, and then this time it works in early 2023. So we did again on this week have a failed attempt into stage 2, and then we moved back into stage 2 here. So this is a good example here of how it can work. So if I go to this decline, we do the percentage move on the 2022 decline, it actually dropped off over 68%, which is a huge drop. Doesn't look like it on the chart, but that's because it had moved up a massive, if we move this back across here from the ultimate low back down here all the way to the high, it had already had a huge run of over 1,000% to get to that point, to get to the from the 2019 to the 2021 high. So a 68% drop off there, while huge, didn't make a huge dent in the chart here. So another one we can have a look at, which had an even bigger stage 2 advance beforehand, was during the 2018, well, it goes all the way from 2013 onwards. So you may look at this area down here. If I turn off the stages, for example, and I turn off the log scale, which obviously you may see some people, they'll show a chart like this without the log scale turned on the weekly chart, and they'll tell you that this is stage 1, and then it's starting to break out into stage 2. But this is why log scale is important. As you can see, it gives you that particular context of what's going on, actually shows you the scaling. So that area there was completely flat on log scale. There's actually a huge stage 2 advance of almost 100% there. So we turn back on the stage moves here, So again, if we come over to the stage 4 decline on this one, you can see it only had a single week in stage 3 over here. So we put the replay feature on again. So you press select bar, take it back to that week and use the clippers. It takes you to that point. So you can see if we do the shift and the right arrow key again now, press right, let me just turn that out. You can see it's making the stage 4 breakdown attempt in a relatively similar position to what we've got currently. So it had a brief failed stage 4 back into 2 and a sideways move into 3 and recovered and had a very long stage 2. So this one here was coming from straight from stage 2B, dropping for a single week into 3 and then into 4, and this one didn't have any kind of rebound and then just dropped off a cliff and started to fall lower. So one thing you can do at these points in order to learn stage analysis I find particularly useful. So again, if we use the replay feature, go back to the bar, go back to the week of the actual breakdown, is that you can jump between the weekly and the daily charts. So when learning stage analysis, it's important to understand what the stage looks like on the daily chart as well as the weekly chart. Sometimes when it's had a long advance or it's had a longer decline, it doesn't look particularly like the level, but the daily chart, as you zoom in on it, can really help you to fine tune on in that, because you want to know where the resistance zones are, where the 200-day moving average is, etc. So I've got a template saved for my daily star, which has a 50-day, a 21 EMA and a 200-day. So you can see at this point here, it dipped below the 200-day moving average, rallied back up again, and then now starts to roll back over again, and it starts to move down into stage 4. So this is what obviously it looks like in real time on a daily chart from that perspective. And we take that back to the weekly chart there, you'll see we're a couple of weeks now into stage 4. So once more, if we come back, if I get rid of replay for a second, it will zoom you back to the current time. So we go back to replay again, you look back at this point over here. We go back down to the daily chart once more. So you can see these, we had those few attempts where it was starting to drop off, but held, and then started to roll over once more. So you see it starts to gap down. We have that significant move, and now it's really getting going. But actually the stage 4 attempt is happening over in this area before it's broken these lows, as we're looking on a weekly basis, and we're looking at the closing values, not the ultimate highs and lows, as obviously the spikes to the highs and lows can distort it, and it's much more obvious at this point here than it is in these kind of areas. So this is what you're really looking for, the areas before it's particularly broken down heavily, so, and obviously relative to the various moving averages. So again, so the replay feature on here is really, really useful if you can just literally follow through using the right arrow key and basically learn the stages in that way. So coming back to NVDA currently, if we go to a daily chart on it at the moment, you can see we're hovering around that 200-day moving average, reverse back below it on Friday. So we're right in the key point here. It hasn't completely broken down yet. This could still be a spring, could still recover here, could see a sharp move back to the upside, start to push on. If we come to a weekly chart on this, I'll pull it over a bit. So from the current little base structure we got up there, this could, as we said, be a spring. You could start to come back in. We could make a continuation to new highs, and it could continue on in stage 2. However, if this stage 4 fails to recover back into the range, we chop around sideways for a bit, then we could obviously start to see a drift off. The 40-week will start, the 30-week will start to cross below, the 10-week will come back underneath there, and then you could see a move down. From this, again, the percentage moves look distorted on the weekly chart from a longer term perspective. So a 50% decline takes you back down to around 75. So that would be a huge decline on its own, but that would only take you back down to this kind of area here. So which doesn't look like a huge decline from the grand scheme of things, but that would give back 50% of the entire previous move here. So keep that in mind at the moment. So as I said, we're at the stage 4 breakdown point here, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's ultimately going to be it. We may have a situation like we've seen here before, back in the previous stage 4 attempt, where it chops around for a while. There's certainly lots of demand for NVIDIA, but if we do see a sudden collapse, then that's more of a driving signal. But the initial move to stage 4 is what we consider a warning signal, and so you should be alert to it, that there is a change of character going on. So as the stage has potentially changed, and even if it does rebound back through here, it's still a change of character in the near term, and it's no longer in a direct uptrend, and it's more going sideways at that point. So just need to be aware of where it is in the stage. And as I said, the replay feature, really good way to learn the stages. So as you can go back on stocks, any stock, and go back to where they broke out and broke down, and start to learn it on multiple time frames, as it knows where you are when you switch time frames. So I find that really, really useful way to learn stage analysis.